What's your favorite of your beers? Can you pick one? Is it like picking a child? Yeah.
It's worse than picking a child. So my son actually has the best answer to it. I've kind of adopted his answer. The best answer is the one in my hand.
Yeah.
Welcome to YMI Talking, a podcast where the guests are so good, you'll wonder why the host is even talking. In each episode, you will hear one of the leaders of the Lehigh Valley's vibrant business hub. They will tell you the keys to their success, the mistakes they've made, and what they have in store for the future. Here is the host of YMI Talking, from YMI Insurance, Jimmy Honachik.
All right, that is me, Jimmy Honachik, and we are back with another episode of Why Am I Talking, and I am joined, as always, by Emily Ellis.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Can we just talk about beer?
Yeah, I'd love to. That's all I want to talk about.
It's a Friday,
right.
So I feel like it's top of mind, but then we just had this conversation with Jim Yergey from Yergey's Brewing, and he was going through all of their beers, and it made me really thirsty.
Me too. I'm thinking about the weekend.
They have everything, like variety is their thing. So everything from dark beer to light beer to IPAs. And they're celebrating right now their big YergFest, which sounds awesome.
I know. I want to make it down there for that.
Yeah. It's in the future, but if you're listening to this, it's happening right now.
Right now.
So go. I might go right now and get there. It's just fun, right? Like Jim's fun.
Yeah, super fun. It seems like he's super passionate about it and he gets to do what he loves and also be there for their community at the same time.
Yeah, and the vibes there are great. So yeah, maybe we just leave and go there right now.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. We'll let you guys listen to this episode with Jim Yergey while we go enjoy a beer. Yeah. Bye. All right, I am so excited for this episode. I love beer. I love good people. And we are very fortunate to have someone who does both of those things here. If you haven't been to Yergey's Brewing, like it's such a cool spot. And the beer is obviously great. So Jim Yergey of Yergey Brewing, thank you for coming here.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So we bumped into each other without knowing who each other was at a holiday function. And I remember it's a neighborhood party and you've got this thermos. I'm like, what's in there? You go, it's my beer. I go, what do you mean your beer? And you go, well, I brew beer. I was like, get out of town. And that's kind of how I got introduced to you and Yergey's. How did you go about, let's start at the beginning. Give me, where does Jim start?
Well, let me give you the hopefully 2-minute version of my kind of career and how I ended up then where I got to brewing.
Yes.
So I went to undergraduate school at Muhlenberg.
We got a Muhlenberg grad in the house.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So one of the stories I always tell people about that is I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go into science or whether I wanted to go into the ministry because I really idolized both of my brothers. One of each.
Yeah.
My dad, I did too, but he was in printing and plate making and such, and that didn't really interest me. Yeah. Anyway, I decided to go into chemistry, and people have always pointed out, well, if you decided to go there because that was a logical decision, you probably made the right decision.
Right.
I said, I can always be active in church, but once I go into the church, I'm never going to do chemistry.
Correct.
So I made the logical decision. I got a bachelor's there, went on to Penn State to get a doctorate in chemistry, analytical chemistry. I worked at NIH for about 6 years. Wow. I was in the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Wow. I was not a patient. I was studying the brain and the effects of alcohol on the brain.
Wow.
And some of the work that I did there was kind of tangentially related to what Merck Frost, which is the Canadian arm of Merck Research, was doing to study the effects of asthma in the lung. It was just similar biochemistry. So they saw me and invited me up, interviewed, got a job up there. My wife eventually got a job there. We had gone for 2 years. We stayed for 10. It was really, really neat up there. There are issues, but we, in terms of the language and all that, but we actually really enjoyed our time up there. Thought people would never visit us except in the summer. They turned out they all came in the winter. They loved coming up in the winter.
Get out.
And there are lots of stories about that. Anyway, so we decided then that we wanted to be back in the States for our kids for college. Canada has great universities, but you pretty much specialize right from the get-go. And having my wife and I both graduating from Muhlenberg, that's where we met, decided we wanted to have a liberal arts education, at least make that available to our kids.
Yeah.
So we decided to move back, and I got a job with Merck, the drug metabolism department down in West Point, which is near Lansdale. My wife got a job in HR, and when we looked for houses, we looked in Doylestown and Lehigh Valley, and just really liked what we found here.
Yeah.
And the commute was similar because she was going to Jersey, I was going down to West Point. Over time, we really liked that because it got a lot worse, the commute from Doylestown.
Yeah.
Whereas the one from here stayed pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And I then moved up in Merck over the years. I had at one point a group of about 30, 40 people.
Wow.
I then, in the last part of my career there, actually moved into an operational role. So we were at a point where we needed to do some outsourcing, which people think, oh boy, you're getting rid of jobs. We didn't really get rid of jobs as a result. What we did was move out the stuff that was very routine. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very detail oriented. You can ask my staff some stories about that at the brewery. I actually got a black belt in Six Sigma as a result of some of the work that we did to really improve the efficiency of.
Can I pause real quick?
Sure.
So you come into the room and you are all smiles and you're the easiest person to talk to. You're not introverted in any sort of way and you're brewing beer. I get a very one-sided image of you. But then you're a chemistry major. You've got, you went for your master's. You have the black belt in Six Sigma. I mean, you're just an incredibly impressive person, I think is what I'm realizing.
Well, thank you. Anyway, we did that so that when we outsourced stuff, it would be super efficient and cost us less, which it did. I also got involved when we merged and had to let a lot of people go. Mm-hmm. And in one of those instances, there was an opportunity for me to take early retirement because while my job wasn't going away, someone else's job who was being groomed for my job was getting eliminated. So he got to take mine. I got out, got a package, and retired. When we first moved back to the Valley in '99 and the early 2000s, we got a really great accountant, a really great lawyer, and a really great investment guy. And the investment guy gave us a book called The New Retire Mentality, which basically said, our generation is not going to retire like our parents and grandparents did and just stop working at 62, 65, whatever. You're going to go nuts if you do that. And I would have. The first 3 months of retirement, it was blissful. I did nothing. Had a routine, read a ton of books, and book series that I had shelved for a while. But then I was going nuts. I tried consulting in what I had done at Merck, realized I could probably make at least as much as I made at Merck.
Wow.
But I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't do a lot of it, but 6 months in, it was like, I think I'm kind of done with this career. And again, about a little over a year after I retired, I entered a homebrew contest. So going back to that, I started brewing in the early 90s. Okay. My brother-in-law and I, who lived down here in the Valley, and we'd compare notes and do it. Did that for about 5-6 years. And by then, again, I was starting to progress at Merck. So I had disposable income. There was starting to be a lot of good craft beer available. And I basically just kind of shelved it and did it once in a while. But then as my kids got a little older, and we won't talk about when, because you're allowed to homebrew and give to your kids when they're not 21. They actually got a kit. I still had all the equipment. I got a kit, and we made a beer together at Christmas time while they were home for the holidays. And we actually had a tradition for a long time, even after we opened the brewery, that we would brew between Christmas and New Year. when we were together.
Wow.
Something that came out of that is the Yergey Family Christmas Homebrew Challenge. Because when my family gets together, my side of the family gets together at Christmas, it could be upwards of 40 people.
Wow.
And a bunch of people homebrew. So we actually have a contest. I might come back to that in terms of some of the beers that we have.
If you guys need judges, I'm always here for that.
So the family judges, and it's purely based on what you like.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not, to style guidelines or anything like that.
Yep.
Similar contest soon after I retired. So this was a couple years into the homebrew contest with the family.
Yeah.
We did IPAs, and I made a beer, and it did not win. But the following summer, I entered it into a homebrew contest at Fegley's. That was basically there were 20, 25 different homebrewers there. And you basically went around and tasted, took notes, and voted on your favorite. I won.
Wow.
And what I won was the opportunity to brew that beer at Fegley's for them to brew it and me help.
Yeah.
The following January. So that's 2015. And they decided, and then it was served as the official beer of Lehigh Valley Beer Week.
No way.
And this was the third year they had done it.
Wow.
And I had a lot of fun with it. And I was retired.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because the morning call called and said, can you talk about this, a little bit, and can we get it set up a time? I said, well, how about now? I'm retired. I can talk now. Sure. He said, do you want any photos of my setup? It's actually still set up from something I did last week. Sure. So we talked and so forth.
Yeah. And
they encourage you to go out during beer week and, promote the whole thing. Well, most of the guys, because it was only guys that had won at that point, would go to like their local haunt and maybe one other place.
Yeah.
I went out every night. I had a blast. We had it at my local haunt, which is Liveport Inn.
Yeah.
They only got a sixtel, which is a little over 5 gallons of beer. It was gone in 45 minutes.
Wow.
We had a great time with that. My wife said, I think you might want to explore this for real.
Yeah.
And follow on from this, which I did.
Wow.
Started looking for locations. I looked a lot in Cooper. I wanted to be close to home. Looked in Coopersburg, looked in Emmaus. Coopersburg a little closer to my house, but Emmaus is a great walking town.
It is.
And I used to go there. Well, I still do, but I go there instead of to the mall to shop for things for my wife, even if it's little things. Park my car at one end, walk up one side, back down the other, stop in all the shops, and almost always find some neat things for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I knew the town. And it took a while, but we found a location. It was down by the railroad track and at 5th Street, and it was tiny. It was 1,500 square feet. I'd actually looked at one 800 square foot thing, or 900, underneath of Armetta's. That would have never done. I don't know why I thought I could do that. Anyway, I got that going, and we renovated it in 2016 and opened in September of 2016.
Wow.
And at that point, I didn't know, both of my sons wanted to come home and work for me. Well, the elder one was a mechanical engineer with a master's. He was working for a software firm that does mechanical engineering software. I told him, there's no way I can replace your salary.
Right.
My other son was also a scientist. He's a biologist.
So you Yergeys, you guys are smart people, is what I'm learning.
So he has a master's in oceanography.
Wow.
He was actually working on the West Coast in Newport, Oregon, which, if you don't know, is where it's going out of my head. Rogue Brewing is.
Oh yeah.
So he interacted with a lot of the people there.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole West Coast scene in the 2000s and early 2010s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing for craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't actually work at a brewery, but he got a lot of interactions with people. There was one place that was setting up a really small brewery, and he was interacting with them all the time.
Wow. So through osmosis.
So
Science.
Well, yeah. And he was homebrewing. He had been homebrewing for a while.
Yeah.
He wanted to come back, and he was actually working on grants that, I can probably replace his salary. I said, but not right away, because I want to make sure this is going to fly.
Right. Yeah.
And at the time, there were only a few breweries in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
There's Funk and Hijinks. Two Rivers had the restaurant opened, but not the brewery yet. And then, of course, Fegley's and Weyerbacher, who had been around for a while. So the first couple months, it started going really well, and I was very happy with it. I was doing everything but bartending, though. And, I brewed the beer, I cleaned, I washed dishes. One of the things my wife and I always said we wanted with a brewery was for it to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So lots of wood. The bar is made out of live edge black walnut that I got. Went and found it and got the guy to plane it for me.
Wow.
I actually made the tables at the first location.
Really?
With help from another retiree from Merck, who actually decided he wanted to do woodworking in a big way in retirement.
Wow.
And he helped me to make the tables. He actually did 85-90% of the work when we moved into the new location. Yeah. We went out and selected the woods, and so that things kind of match what we had at the other. And we made all the tables there as well.
Get out.
Yeah, so chairs that are comfortable to sit in with backs for people my age. It's just things like that, and the stories. A lot of these stories are stories I love telling customers.
Yeah,
it's one of the things that both myself and when we hire people, we look for is an interaction that, you want to come in, we want you to come in and feel comfortable so that obviously we want the beer to be good, but we want you to be physically comfortable and enjoy being there and want to come back. And even if we have people who only come to the Valley once a year, but they make sure to stop in.
Yeah. What does that take? So, Emily, I don't know if you've been there, but you get that feeling as soon as you walk in that it really is a place where you can get comfortable and spend some time. Like, what does it take to make that happen?
So one of it is the staff. So when we hire people, first of all, we always interview them. I use a lot of the skills that I learned at Merck in terms of interviewing people. It's about, we want people who have that kind of outgoing personality. When you walk in the door, we expect them to say, "Hi, welcome, come on over here when you're ready to order," or if they know them. And believe me, the bartenders know a lot of people's names because they're very good at that. We want people, we listen to their stories. We like to tell them our stories.
Yeah.
And, I definitely walk around and tell stories.
Yes.
And that's part of it. I model that. The bartenders do the same thing. The people at our place is what I think who work there are a big part of what make it function well.
Yeah.
I already mentioned my son Matt is the head brewer. Brittany is someone who was hired as a bartender when she was like 2 weeks into the whole thing. Yeah. Back in the original location.
Wow.
She did a great job, but she wanted more. And she was ready to maybe go on and do something else somewhere else.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, do you want to learn brewing?" And she goes, "Yeah." So she actually took over, because I used to be, even when Matt came around, I was still kind of the cellar hand that did all the grunt work so that he could focus on brewing. She learned that. Eventually she learned to do the brewing. And now if Matt and I are on vacation, things just continue on.
That's great.
I told her she couldn't do that and taproom manager at the new location because that would have been too much. In the end, she ended up, because we went through a couple taproom managers. One of them was great, but decided to do a different career. She still bartends with us. And then someone else, it didn't work out, and Britt has taken over, and we basically farmed out a lot of the stuff to other people. And that's the thing about the bartenders. If they want more responsibilities, we try to make that happen. Yeah. One of them deals with all the food truck scheduling, which sounds simple. So I didn't mention that, but we typically have 12 to 14 taps of beer on. We also have local meats, hard cider, a couple cocktails. red and a white wine.
I was going to say, I'm looking. It has taken us 17 minutes to get to the beer.
Well, you said that was more than just my background too.
Yes. But like, there's so much that goes into running a brewery, right? Like, it's not just the beer.
No, there's a ton of things that go into it.
Yeah.
All the equipment. When we moved, we decided not to get new equipment.
Okay.
Well, we got new fermenters. We needed to have a lot more fermenters so that we had space to brew, not necessarily more frequently, but brew some things like lagers. I don't know if you know, but when you brew lagers, they have to sit for about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're finished fermenting, but if you don't let them sit, they don't get super crisp. And the way, a Pilsner, you expect it to have that really nice crisp flavor.
Yeah.
That requires time.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that very rarely in our first location just because we didn't have enough equipment to do it.
Yeah.
Or if we did, it meant something else wasn't getting done because we were taking up a tank for that.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
What's your favorite of your beers? Can you pick one? Is it like picking a child? Yeah.
And it's worse than picking a child. So my son actually has the best answer to it. I've kind of adopted his answer. But the best answer is the one in my hand.
Yeah.
I've come to enjoy. We make sours, but
okay.
I'm not a big sour fan.
Yeah.
But I've come to enjoy them, especially with some of the foods that are really filling. It's very refreshing to cleanse your palate in between things. But we try to have a lot of variety of beers.
I was going to say, you guys don't specialize in like, we're an IPA place. Like, you really do everything.
No, we always have some IPAs. Mm-hmm. We usually have one kind of mid-range alcohol content IPA, a session IPA, which is typically lower alcohol, and a double IPA, which just means that it's got a higher alcohol content, typically 8-9%. We almost always have those on. And then we have usually a lager on, but something light and refreshing is always on our tap one. Mm-hmm. We find the first couple taps are when the people get to something they like, they stop. So tap one is that, tap two is the IPA, tap three is the session. They get the most sales because people find one they like.
Yeah.
We often have Belgians on, sometimes light Belgians, sometimes really strong Belgians. Like Friend of the Devil was one that's been on since we opened. Yeah. We often have an Imperial Stout on, which is a strong dark beer, and we have them on in the summer. There's people who like them, and they come in and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you don't only have these on in the winter."
Right. Yeah.
We have amber ales. We have a Scottish ale on right now. We've got a Weizenbach, which is a German style Bach wheat beer mix.
I don't know why I asked you about beer at 11:30. Now I just want to go get a beer, Jim.
Well, I meant to bring a 4-pack with me.
Oh, get out.
I apologize. So that one that I mentioned, the Belgian, it's called a dark strong, is the Friend of the Devil.
Yeah.
There's actually a story with that that goes back to my time in Montreal.
Okay. And
trying to make it similar to a brew made up in Canada called the brewery's Uni Brew. Okay. And they make one called Maudit, which is slang for the devil, or they have like guys rowing in Dante's Hell. Okay. We made something, it's kind of similar to that. And when we came back here, fortunately, I wasn't in my college years into the Grateful Dead, because I would probably never have gotten a graduate degree in chemistry, but I'm into them now. And all our Belgians, because that one was named for a Friend of the Devil, we decided from that point on that they also the Belgian triple we do is Left Hand Monkey Wrench. Yes, and so on. Another one that was on when we first opened, that's in the 4-pack that I was going to bring you. It's called A Beer Has No Name. That's a red IPA, and the reason it got that name, and it's not from
Game of Thrones.
It is from Game of
Thrones. Okay, that's where I was.
A Girl Has No Name.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's a beer with no name, and it goes back to my generation and
America.
Horse with no name. No, it's Game of Thrones. And the reason it has that is because the name that my sons, this was one that was done together, one of those Christmas brews. Okay. And the name they wanted to give it was kind of a really derogatory term for redheads. I just said, no, we're not going to do that. And we kept going and going. Okay. And then we basically came up with a beer that has no name.
That's perfect, though. That's a good name for it. So you guys are so involved in the community, I feel like. Where does that come from? Kind of talk to what you do.
Yeah, so my wife and I have always tried to give back, and we do things. We actually have a fund at the Community Foundation, Lehigh Valley Community Foundation, that we set up when we retired. But that's always been something that's important to me. Mm-hmm. And when the first year we opened in November, we decided to do something that we called November Giving Thanks. Mm. And we asked people to tell us an organization that they want us to support that's local. Give them little slips of paper, a jar to put them in, and all month we collected those. Yeah. And at the end of the month, we kind of went through and sorted out the ones that were local and chose one, tried not to repeat, and would donate 10% of all our sales for November.
Wow.
Not just beer, but everything.
Wow.
And we've kept that up, and it's gotten to the point in recent years where we usually pick 2 different organizations.
Yeah.
And it's all over the map. We've done, the Allentown Shelter, we've done Camelot for Children, Ribbons of Care.
Yeah.
There's I can't remember if you look on our website under the community tab, you'll see a list there. A lot of those names are organizations that we've donated to.
Okay.
We also try to be really involved in the Emmaus community.
Yeah.
So the Historic Society, the 1803 House, the Mouse House, they often have fundraisers at our location. And we have a great time with it. They have a great time with it.
Emmaus is such a cool little town. And I feel like it gets overlooked sometimes. But that main street, just walking down it, it's got a magical feeling. That is really cool.
And we started down by the railroad. We actually moved to the location on Main Street in 2021.
Okay.
And the community was really happy because it was a 1-story bank that had been sitting vacant for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect location for us. Besides being on Main Street, it had 50 parking spots, which there isn't another place in Emmaus that has 50 parking spots. And then we lucked out. I don't know if you know, there's a huge mural across from the brewery on the building next to us. That was an HGTV sweepstakes with 80,000 people.
Get out.
The winner was a woman from Emmaus who went to the Arts Commission and the Borough Council.
No way.
And they decided we're going to get that mural and put it on that wall.
Wow.
So the show Hometown, they have an artist who does big art in various things they do. And he drove up from southern Mississippi and spent 10 days putting up that mural.
Get out.
And it's great for us.
Yeah.
It's Emmaus.
Wow, it is. Yeah. Just talk about the Lehigh Valley, because you guys moved in the 90s, right?
Yeah, we moved back here in 99. We had again the ties to Muhlenberg, which we still have. It's just a great place. I mean, it's kind of small, but not small.
Right.
And there's a lot to do here. And our kids grew up, went to high school here and love it. We had them go to college elsewhere. We told them 1 to 3 hours away.
Okay.
I don't want to have to get on a plane, but I don't want you, as much as we would have loved to have them go to Muhlenberg, which a lot of our family did, we didn't want them 15 minutes away.
Yeah. There's something about getting away.
Exactly. And I think they liked it. But it's got, Emmaus has a real small town feel to it. It's nice. And the brewing community here is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an organization, there's a national organization called the Brewers Association. There's a state one called the Brewers of PA. And we actually formed a few years after I opened and things were blowing up in terms of breweries in the valley, the Lehigh Valley Brewers Guild. Yeah. And it's a trade organization. And we just try to get any of the breweries in the valley who want to be part of it, and almost all of them are.
Yeah.
It's now 25 to it's more than 25 breweries, plus cideries,
Yeah.
and the meadery are also part of it.
And you guys are so collaborative, and we sponsored, is it the Passport program?
Yep.
Yeah, we were sponsored of that. Talk about that, like just what you guys do to encourage this sort of collaboration.
Yeah. So that was a program where basically if you go around to all the different breweries, the meadery and cidery, and get a stamp, buy anything and get a stamp. If you did it early, so this year we used to run it just for the first 3 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was kind of a rush to get it done. And then there was some sort of gift and a party and so forth. This year, if you got it done before May, there was a party over at Seven Sirens.
Okay.
And, we gave out lots of samples of beer and everything else.
Yeah.
And now there'll be another one in December for anybody who finishes at Weyerbacher in December, for anybody that finishes before the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's just to encourage people to go out and try all the different breweries.
Yeah.
It's a really collaborative environment with breweries. I always tell people that we don't go to your neighbor and ask for a cup of sugar.
Right.
We go ask for a pound of hops. And I literally have done that multiple times.
Yeah.
My son and I have been having an issue with a pump in our system for the last couple of weeks, and kind of getting some help from the manufacturer, but they're on the West Coast, and we're going to talk to Bo Baden over at Sherman Street this afternoon because Bo knows everything. and we really want to get his input and try and figure out why it's a very collaborative.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unlike any industry that I know in that regard.
Yeah. No, that's great. I am really bummed because we are out of time, but we're gonna make we got a couple things I want to get through.
Okay.
The first is we're sponsored by Zcraft, which if you haven't been, there's one in Center Valley actually. And they are, coffee, cafe, caterer. They do incredible things. You go there, you get a coffee and you have a sip, but sometimes sip happens. So when was the time that sip happened to you, Jim?
Now, the most obvious one I can think of, again, I told you when we first opened, I did everything.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we got to the end of the first night, and if you didn't know, in that location, there's also a Triple Sun Spirits. So we shared there was a common room between us, and they were right next door. You got to the end of the first shift, and I had no idea what to do. I had never worked in retail.
Yeah.
I go, what do I do? I mean, I know we had to count the cash in the drawer, but what do we do? So I went next to them and I go, well, you're using ShopKeep too, so you got to print out the Z report and make sure everything lines up. And okay. Yeah,
it
was.
you probably still thought about like getting the beer ready, making sure the beer's in place, everything's together, and then
make sure that location is all going. But so
that's really funny. Sip happened.
I got out of that one easily.
Yes. One thing I want to bring up, I don't know if there's anything you want to hit, and I will ask you that, but you said you started in September. You're coming up on your 9th anniversary?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So we had, when our first anniversary happened, my son realized that it fell the week that Oktoberfest starts in Munich. Our family has a lot of German heritage. So we decided to call it YergFest. And we don't celebrate on the day. We celebrate the entire weekend.
I love that.
And it's all decorated like Oktoberfest. The bartenders wear dirndls or lederhosen. Matt and I are there. And we have live music every night.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
That's great.
And there's definitely people who come from out of town every year just for that. And it's a lot of fun.
And when this episode goes live, it will be happening live. We will be in the weekend.
And one of the beers that we only have that weekend is also called YergFest.
Oh, nice.
It's a fest beer, which is the style of beer that they serve in Munich for Oktoberfest. Mm-hmm. It's not a Marzen, which is the Oktoberfest style.
Okay.
Which is a little darker. They used to serve that. Now they serve this fest beer. Very light and refreshing, easy drinking.
Yeah.
And it usually kicks, if not that weekend, very shortly.
I'm sure. Yes.
Last year, it actually kicked before the weekend was over.
So if you're listening to this live on the day it goes live, get down to Yergey's for YergFest right now.
Yep.
Good. Anything that we didn't hit that you want to hit? Anything that we should talk about?
No, I just, For us, it's about having a comfortable environment with well-crafted beer, great service from the people, and interacting with the community. We love to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
One last story I'll tell is
Yes.
as an event we do at Easter. It's called the Beerster Egg Hunt. It goes back to when my son was in Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
and they would actually some people would get up early on Easter and hide cans in this little local park of beer. And then everybody would get together and go find the cans. We don't do that. We hide plastic eggs with numbers in them. The bartenders do get up very early, because the second year we did it, people were out kind of watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And they hide like 150, 160 eggs along the main street in Emmaus. And the doors open at noon. There's usually a line that's 75 to 100 people deep when we open. And you come in, you get your sippy cup full of beer. Yeah. And you go out, and Emmaus has no open container law, so you can walk around with a beer.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Emmaus just went up my rankings of Lehigh Valley places.
There you go. and find an egg. When you find an egg, you bring it back, you get a prize.
That's awesome.
It's a ton of fun.
And when do you do it? So
that's on Easter Sunday.
On Easter Sunday, okay.
Yeah. That's actually on Easter Sunday.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. I want to close out hearing like you considered the ministry and then you ended up in beer. Do you know the Ben Franklin quote? Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Yes.
Yes.
I actually have the end of a wooden barrel with that carved in it.
Oh, get out. Well, that's perfect. I am so thankful for you coming on here. This has been incredible. I cannot wait to get out of here and go to Yergey's and get some beer.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
You're very welcome.
All right. We don't usually put little codas on the end of our episodes, but we were chatting afterwards and I just heard something incredible and I felt like this needs to be on the episode. So Jim, take it away. Tell us kind of what you were telling me right there.
Well, I forgot to mention, I did talk about our staff being amazing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that did for us, I believe, is it's the reason why, a large reason why we won the Lehigh Valley style best brewery experience for 2025.
I'm giving you applause. And we just saw you there actually at the Lehigh Valley style and the beer there was great. But how did that happen?
We basically encourage people to vote for it. I mean, how did it happen? We have great staff.
Yeah.
We have what we think is good beer and a great location.
Yep.
And I think that's,
I think that's it. I think that's awesome. And it really speaks to kind of what you're doing there. So awesome job. Keep it up.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the YMI Talking Podcast. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more content from amazing personalities in the Valley, please subscribe, leave a rating, and drop us a quick review.